Hi everyone, I'm Mark Leeming from the 1 Minute Preacher. Now they say that religion should be kept out of politics, but what happens when the political enters the religious sphere? When a radical political ideology starts behaving like a fanatical religion whereby all forms of dissent are treated as heresy? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about in this video, along with its effect upon our youth. I think you're really going to enjoy this one, so please do watch this video all the way to the end. But before we do that, if you have a cup of hot coffee, tea, or any other hot beverage of preference that you like to start your mornings off with, a toast to having a great Thursday. Now, I must confess that when I first started this YouTube channel, about 4 or 5 years ago now, my heart was really for church youth who were heading off to college and university. And so I guess my focus was upon what you would call the more traditional apologetic approach, dealing with the question of God's existence, that sort of thing. And while I still think that those things are very important, I think nonetheless, in just the past few years, things have shifted. Ground zero now is more dealing with the culture war of the issues of social justice and the environment. How there's this great fear nowadays, right? It seems that in just the past few years, a cloud of madness and hatred, of delusion has descended upon us. How if you hesitate to support the latest social justice cause that our elites say that you must support, then you're branded a heretic. You're a sexist, a bigot, a racist, a member of the patriarch, and you must be publicly shamed and denounced. But in saying all of that, I've recently come to the realization in the past few years that I've always felt that there's something beyond that there's something lurking in the background, like the great Oz and the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain pulling the strings and the levers. And here's where this video gets political. I contend that in spite of all the moral posturing, all the rhetoric, all the lecture from our cultural elites about social injustice and the environment, that it has absolutely nothing to do with those things. It is political theater, pure and simple. For example, just a few years ago, a well-known Silicon Valley billionaire who has been openly gay for years, he came out of the closet as a Republican, and he was denounced by the gay community, disowned. The leading gay magazine in America said that although he may sleep with men, he's certainly not gay. And there are many, many more examples just like that, revealing a pattern that no matter who they are, no matter what minority group they belong to, if anyone dares go against the far leftist narrative, which has become so entrenched in our culture today, then they will be destroyed. Far leftist politics trumps everything, even social justice and the environment. And in many ways, this is the new religion of our times. You see, people need dogma. They need something to believe in, something to give them purpose and meaning to their lives, something to worship. And as many people have commented over the last few years, that's what we're starting to see with the secular left. With secular conservatives, they tend to still adhere to the traditional religions, whereas that doesn't seem to be the tendency on the secular left. And that is why we see this growing political religious fervor on the left. Now, don't get me wrong, there is a big difference between the far left and those who are the more moderate left of center, in the same way as there's a big difference between the far right and those who are the more moderate right of center. There are good and decent people on both sides of those political spectrums who love their country passionately. That being said, however, the more you move away from the center, the more you move into the realm of political fanaticism and ideology, when the radically political behaves like a fanatical religion. And sadly, many of our church youth are becoming its converts. So please join me next Thursday for part 2 as we look at how do we as Christian parents teach our kids to think critically. How do we prevent our kids from converting over to this new religion? So if you haven't already, please do hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And I hope to see you next Thursday for coffee. See you then.